You ever notice how some stories stick with you in ways you can't explain? Like they crawl under your skin and sit there waiting. I've got one of those. And before I start, let me tell you this. I didn't believe in ghosts. I didn't believe in haunted houses, whispers in the dark, none of it. But I do now. Because once you live through something you can't explain, something that tears at the edges of reality, you don't get to just walk away unchanged. It started when my cousin bought this old farmhouse in Indiana. Way out there, middle of nowhere. If you've ever driven through the Midwest at night, you know what I mean. Miles of nothing, cornfields stretching into blackness. No streetlights, no noise, no neighbors. Just empty silence pressing in on all sides. The house itself looked tired, beaten down by time. Peeling white paint, sagging porch, windows cloudy with age. When I first pulled into the gravel driveway, I had this weird sensation, like the house had been waiting. Not for him, not for me specifically, but for someone, for anyone. That first night we sat in the living room, surrounded by boxes, eating greasy pizza out of the box and laughing like we always did. Around midnight the lights flickered, not just a little stutter. They went down, dimmed so far the shadows stretched long across the floor, like they were reaching for us. My cousin chuckled, brushed it off, said the wiring was probably ancient. But me? I felt something shift in the room, like the house was watching, like it was aware of us now. We called it a night. He went upstairs to the master bedroom, and I crashed in a guest room downstairs. The room had this heavy wooden wardrobe, old, dark, carved with strange, swirling designs that looked like twisted faces in the half-light. I shut the doors before bed, but the whole time I lay there, I couldn't stop glancing at it. You ever get that prickling feeling, like eyes on you, even in an empty room? That's what it felt like. Around 2 a.m., I woke up, not suddenly, not like a nightmare, more like something gently pulled me out of sleep. The air was freezing, cold enough that I could see my breath in the faint light from the window. I sat up and my heart dropped. The wardrobe doors were wide open. I know, without question, I closed them. And I swear the dark inside was thicker than the rest of the room, like it had its own weight. My body told me not to get up, not to look, so I stayed frozen. That's when I heard it. Creak, creak, slow, deliberate footsteps outside my door. Not random pops of an old house. These were footsteps, heavy, measured, getting closer. They stopped right in front of my door. I held my breath. Silence. Then a whisper. Low, raspy, right against the wood. I couldn't make out the words, but it wasn't the house. It wasn't pipes or wind. It was a voice. I wanted to scream for my cousin, but my throat wouldn't work. All I could do was sit there, heart pounding, listening to that whisper seep through the door. And then it stopped. I didn't sleep again that night. In the morning, I asked my cousin if he had gotten up. He swore he hadn't, looked at me like I was nuts, but his hands trembled when he lit his cigarette. He wasn't as calm as he wanted me to think. We brushed it off, spent the day unpacking, cleaning, trying to make the place livable. But the house, it wasn't just old, it was wrong. Every room had its own atmosphere. One corner of the hall was ice cold, no matter the time of day. The kitchen always smelled faintly of rot, even after we scrubbed it down. In the upstairs, the higher you went, the heavier the air felt, like you were walking into water. That evening, my cousin asked me to check out the attic while he worked on the plumbing. The attic door was small, tucked away at the end of the hall. I climbed the narrow steps, ducked my head under the low frame, and immediately choked on the air. Stale, thick, carrying a sweet, rotting odor that clung to the back of my throat. The attic was crammed with junk, broken chairs, boxes of newspapers, furniture under dusty sheets. But in the far corner, near a grimy window, was a child's rocking chair. Small, cracked, worn, and it was moving, back and forth, slowly, smoothly, like someone had just gotten up. I froze. My brain scrambled for logic, draft, vibration, something. But the air was dead still, silent. I backed out, closed the attic door behind me. Didn't tell my cousin what I saw. That night, I barely slept. Every sound made my skin crawl. Sometime around 3 a.m., I woke to soft crying, a child's cry, thin, muffled, but inside the house. My stomach turned when I realized where it was coming from, the attic. I lay there rigid, staring at the ceiling, listening to those small, broken sobs drifting down through the floorboards. It went on and on. At some point, I must have blacked out, because I woke to sunlight pouring in. The next morning, I finally told my cousin everything. The wardrobe, the footsteps, the whisper, the rocking chair, the crying. He went pale. And that's when he admitted what he hadn't told me. Years back, a family lived there. They had a little girl. One night she vanished, just gone. Search parties combed the woods and fields for weeks. Never found her. The family eventually moved away, but the rumors stayed. Some people said she ran off. Some whispered she was taken. But the darkest theory, something happened inside that house, and her parents covered it up. And suddenly, everything clicked. The whispers, the crying, the rocking chair. It was like the house was stuck, replaying that moment. We lasted one more night. The final straw came when my cousin swore he saw a shadow move across the upstairs hallway while brushing his teeth. No one else was there. He looked like death when he came downstairs, said he couldn't stay another night. He sold the place weeks later, practically gave it away just to get rid of it. I haven't been back since, but here's the part that's been eating at me. Ever since that weekend, things have followed me. Sometimes when I'm half asleep, I hear it again. That faint, broken whisper right by my ear. Sometimes I wake up and the air feels wrong, too cold, too heavy. A few times I've lost hours. I'll be sitting on the couch, glance at the clock, and suddenly it's 3 in the morning. No memory of the time passing, and the worst was a few weeks ago. I woke up in my apartment. The air was ice cold. I rolled over and froze. The wardrobe in my bedroom, the one I've had for years, the one that's always stayed closed, was standing wide open. And I swear, just before I snapped on the light, I heard it, that same low whisper from the dark inside. I didn't move for what felt like hours. I just sat there in my bed, staring at the wardrobe, trying to convince myself I wasn't awake. But I was. Everything around me was too sharp, too real. The faint hum of the fridge in the kitchen, the glow of the streetlight sneaking through my blinds, the pounding of my own heartbeat echoing in my ears. When I finally forced myself up, I grabbed my phone, switched on the flashlight, and aimed it toward the wardrobe. Empty. Just clothes, jackets, a couple of boxes at the bottom. But for a split second, before the light hit, I could have sworn I saw movement, like something small slipping deeper into the dark. From that night on, it never left me alone. At first it was little things, shoes out of place, picture frames falling without reason, faucets turning themselves on in the middle of the night. Then came the sounds, tapping in the walls, scratching like fingernails on wood, and finally, the crying. That same soft, high-pitched sob I'd heard in the farmhouse attic, except now it was in my room, and every time I heard it, the wardrobe doors were standing open. One night the crying grew louder, closer, until it was spilling out of the wardrobe, like the sound itself was alive. I stumbled out of bed, turned on every light, but it didn't stop. It only cut off when I opened my phone, and in the reflection of the screen, I saw her, a pale child's face staring back at me, hollow-eyed and waiting. I dropped the phone and stayed at a friend's place for a while, but it followed me there too, whispers in my ear as I tried to sleep, shadows where there shouldn't have been any. No one else heard it, no one else saw a thing. When I finally came back to my apartment, I found words scratched into the inside of the wardrobe door, crooked, jagged, but clear. Let me in. From that moment on, I started losing time. I'd catch myself standing in front of the wardrobe in the middle of the night, hand on the handle, like I'd been sleepwalking. I'd wake up with the covers pulled back beside me, cold air pouring in, like someone had been lying there. The mirrors became the worst part. I'd see her in them, at first just a flicker, then her standing behind me closer each time. I thought maybe it was tied to the wardrobe, so I had it hauled away. I watched as the removal guys dumped it at the landfill. That night, for the first time in weeks, I slept without fear. No crying, no whispers, just silence. But when I woke up the next morning, the wardrobe was back, sitting in its spot, doors wide open, like it had never left. That's when I understood. It wasn't the house, it wasn't the furniture, it was me. Whatever this thing is, it's attached itself to me, and it's getting stronger. Now, some nights I wake up and feel small hands pressing against my chest. Sometimes I hear her whisper my name in that broken, rasping voice. Sometimes I catch her face in reflections, in windows and strangers, always there for just a second before she's gone. And I can't stop thinking about the message carved into that wardrobe. Let me in. I don't know what she wants. I don't know how long I can fight it. But I'm terrified that one night, half asleep, not thinking clearly, I'll do it. I'll let her in.